Welcome everyone to Wrasslin Raw!
All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Monday Night Raw was uncut, uncooked, and uncensored. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Wrasslin Raw is brought to you by Tyco, who brings you great toys like Dr. Dreadful and Matchbox cars.
Joe Gimateo.
Thanks, Jason. I got my cable puller here. We're trying to keep a low profile, so let's just get the show started.
I'm Jason Bartlett. That's no relation to Rob Bartlett. And we're going to examine WWE history one episode of Raw at a time. But first, before we do that, we are going to send a very special thanks out to our first listeners that have downloaded us from Mexico. Viva la raza! Thank you very much, our luchador friends, for tuning in and listening to some Wrasslin Raw. Also, I have to say thank you to our listeners that have been very patient with us during the recent time of the garbage fucks. Hashtag garbage fucks. Never forget. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on December 5th, 1994. This Raw was recorded at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, New York, and features Vince McMahon and the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yes, I am ready.
All right, then, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with the intro sequence, and we're going to be at ringside, and this time we're starting off with entrance music. And Vince is yelling, Monday Night Raw is brought to you by Tyco, who brings you great toys like Dr. Dreadful and Matchbox cars. Welcome everyone to Monday Night Raw, and the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, is on his way to join Vince McMahon on commentary. Shawn Michaels does his best to upstage Vince McMahon here, stepping in front of him, grabbing the microphone from him, basically just being an ass. We're getting more of heel Shawn Michaels here in this segment than we've gotten on Raw in quite a long time. It's going to be ever apparent throughout the night here that heel Shawn Michaels is here to put over Diesel in a big way. If anybody wants a personal challenge, take a shot every time Vince McMahon says the monster Diesel, the 7-foot-tall monster Diesel champion.
The new World Wrestling Federation champ.
7 foot.
You're going to wind up on your ass about halfway through this episode if you do a shot every time. But Shawn Michaels is going to be introducing his friend, the hardest working man in show business, his fellow teamster, Double J Jeff Jarrett. And this is going to take us into our first match. Double J Jeff Jarrett with the Roadie. As yet unnamed Roadie, I should specify at the outset. We know he's the Roadie, but they don't call him that just yet. He's going to defeat the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith by countout in 14 minutes even. At the beginning of the match here, Double J is coming out to some serious lights and effects, and he's being followed by the Roadie, but like I said, we don't know that's the Roadie quite yet. The Roadie is slouched over, acting like he's dragging a couple guitar stacks, even though he's got nothing. I mean, this guy is like purposefully hunchbacked, creeping along behind Double J Jeff Jarrett, and Vince McMahon comments on the sloppy camera work as one of the cable pullers. That's what he calls the Roadie here, a cable puller. Almost steals the spotlight from Double J Jeff Jarrett. Shawn Michaels calls Vince McMahonican. I thought that was very clever. The British Bulldog is going to come out next, and Vince gives us yet another Rockets Red Glare comment as the British Bulldog comes down, and I have to note here that the Bulldog did not skip leg day. He can barely walk in a straight line because of the girth of those thighs. Truly impressive. As the bell is being rung to start off the match, we get another shot of the Roadie handling Double J's hat and glasses for him while Double J is telling him what to do. Vince McMahon can't stop commenting on Double J's outfit and says, "What is that? Tinsel? On the obliques?" Double J is wearing like some kind of furry tinsel outer pants, I guess you'd say. I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but it was certainly a weird thing to see. The action gets started, and Double J can't help but do some additional strutting. This is the point where I realized that I am really excited to be going over this match. I was excited to watch it right about this point, and I'm excited to be talking about now because this ended up being a fantastic match. Double J manages a takedown on the Bulldog, walks over him, as in uses the Bulldog as a walkway, over to the corner where he reclines and puts his feet up. Takes it easy in the corner for a quick second while the Bulldog gathers himself. Fantastic heel work from Double J here, and it's really hard to overstate how good he was when he was on his game being a heel. The Bulldog puts an enormous hip toss on Double J, gets some great height and distance on it, then mocks the Double J strut. This is great stuff happening. We keep getting camera shots of the Roadie. Vince and Shawn are both confused, but they still keep mentioning him every time the camera sees him. Double J and the Bulldog repeat a series of moves where Double J pulls over the Bulldog with a headlock takedown, which Bulldog transitions into a head scissors hold, which Double J gets out of and applies a headlock takedown, etc. This sequence is repeated about 3 times. The Roadie is finally identified by ringside as being in Double J's corner, but we still don't have an official name for him yet. The Bulldog puts Double J into a great standing suplex. Double J sells the living hell out of it. He's falling and stumbling backwards out of the ring. And as Double J is crouched at ringside, getting his win back, the Roadie is acting like a barrier between Double J and the crowd. If you can imagine one of those bodyguard type people that surround celebrities as they're walking down the red carpet and protect them from people that are reaching out and trying to grope them. That's what the Roadie is doing for Double J here, even though Double J doesn't need it at all. Double J is trying to call for a timeout while he's out, but he's not going to get it. The action heads back into the ring, and the work continues. Both of these guys are looking great. We're going to get a commercial break on a 2 count, and come back to more solid action. But things are starting to slow down a little bit. We get some holds and various methods of stalling while the boys catch their breath real quick. We get the Roadie in as many camera angles as realistically possible and still maintain focus on the match. The Bulldog has caught his breath and starts a high-octane rally full of clotheslines and back body drops until Double J tries to walk out of the ring. The British Bulldog goes after him and picks him up in a full military press. And with Double J in this press, walks Double J back to the ring. We're talking Double J had made it about halfway up the entryway ramp. The Bulldog comes to him halfway up the ramp, picks him up into the press, and in the full press, full extension, walks Double J back down to the ring and tosses him back in over the bottom rope. A really, really impressive display of strength from the British Bulldog here. But it just so happens that the Bulldog threw Double J back into the ring just in time to have Double J not be counted out, while the Roadie, who was apparently hiding under the apron, holds the Bulldog's ankle, preventing him from entering the ring in time. And thus the bell is rung, and Double J, Jeff Jarrett, wins via countout. I don't think at any point during this match the Roadie has stood upright. And as a matter of fact, Shawn Michaels comments on it, saying that he thinks the Roadie has a bad back. Double J and the Roadie are quickly exiting as we get a replay on what just transpired. Joe, what did you think of this match and the debut of the as yet officially unnamed
cable
Roadie?
puller?
The cable puller, that's right.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. It was nice having a new face out there. And I don't remember much about the Roadie, to be honest. I mean, we were 12 years old. I don't really remember much about it. Like, I remember him being there, but I don't remember this, like, the gimmick itself. Shawn and Vince did a great job of just kind of pretending like they don't even know what he is. And the match itself, I think the Bulldog mocking the strut got a nice pop from the crowd. Double J calling a timeout. It's like one of my favorite heel moves. Vince cannot mention Diesel's name without using the words 7 foot. It's like the Survivor Series with him and Gorilla using the word kisser. It's like, and Diesel's not 7. He's 6'10", which I know is like, you know, it's close enough.
I mean, they did the same thing for The Undertaker. He wasn't quite 7 foot, but they always called him 7
But I don't know
foot.
why you just can't call him the 6'10" Diesel, the 6'10" Diesel.
6'10" doesn't sound quite as impressive.
I guess not. Yeah. They went to commercial again on a 2 count, which was strange.
Yeah.
At least we actually saw the kick out this time.
Yeah, right. I like that they were taking forever to even mention that the roadie was there. Like I said earlier, they kind of just tried to ignore that he was even there, which is kind of playing into the gimmick. And the Tim Allen comment, Double J being the Tim Allen of the WWF, whatever the hell that means. I think Vince just wanted to talk about the Santa Claus.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, the match itself I thought was pretty good, and I enjoyed the debut of the roadie.
Yeah, as you both mentioned already, the debut of the roadie was pretty fun to see. I think his posture was he was trying to emulate the stereotypical sneaking around roadie look. And he was really, really playing into that role. He wasn't going to come out of character and not be a creeping around roadie dude. As we come down, the Bulldog got his normal pyro, but it seemed to be a little extra this week. There seemed to be a little extra oomph behind that pyro. I don't know if they added a few more salutes to it or whatever, but it was a pretty impressive pyro show. And then as soon as the match starts off, you could really tell that this was going to be a winner. They just immediately start on each other. It looks snappy. You got Double J just really hamming up the heel work with his, reclining in the middle, in the turnbuckle. It was a fantastic match. I really can't say how much I enjoyed watching this match between two greats here. The point where Bulldog tosses Jeff Jarrett out and he mimics his strut. As you said, Joe, the crowd just went crazy, but I really enjoyed Michael's comment about, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, that's a pretty shitty strut. And then Michael comments, it's not the smoothest strut he's ever seen, but I guess it will have to do. And it definitely was not the smoothest strut. He then, right after that, brings up about how Davey Boy knocked himself out cold at Survivor Series. Well, I was shocked to even see him make it for this match. I assumed he was still dead.
Right. So did Shawn Michaels.
But as you both said, starting this off as our anchor match, you really couldn't get much better. I loved it. There really wasn't a moment in this match that I didn't have my eyes glued to it. They both did a fantastic job in the ring, and I was really glad to have watched it.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with both of you guys on just about everything. This is feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but this is probably one of the better matches we've seen in the past 2 or 3 months.
I would agree.
Not that we haven't had good ones, but really, just from start to finish, everything about this match was fantastic. A real joy to watch between two professionals. As far as the Roadie storyline goes, I distinctly remember, not like this match specifically, but I distinctly remember the entire storyline. This is when me and Beefaroni were really, really into watching wrestling. Like, we were kind of casual fans before, but this is where we became religious watchers. His whole slouching thing, I took it to mean, and you could definitely be right, Ryan, the slouch definitely kind of lends itself to like a sneaking kind of roadie.
Trying to hide behind the background of the scene, pulling the cable back.
Yeah, going to adjust the drum microphones or something, like keeping a low profile, yeah. But I mean, at 12 years old, I didn't even know what a fucking roadie was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I thought of, and this might just be, and I did not think of this whenever I was 12. I mean, I was just, enamored with it at the time. But watching it now as an adult, the first thing I thought of was the roadie. I'll refrain from calling him his future names, or at least I'll try to. But the roadie, whenever he stands upright, is a good head taller almost than Jeff Jarrett. I kind of thought that it was maybe part of the whole, you can't upstage Double J. The real Double J can't upstage Double J, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's his whole shtick that he's got going on. He has to be like subservient to Double J, and he's his roadie slave type guy.
Of course, he is an actual singer.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to have this storyline kicked off. It's bringing back a lot of really good memories from back in the day. So I look forward to seeing more of it going forward. In the meantime, however, we're going to keep it moving here. Our next segment is a quick commercial from Todd Pettingzoo. Todd Pettingzoo is going to be doing a voiceover here. Your wishes come true as the WWF Holiday Wish Tour comes to town. Don't miss it this Thursday as we make our way to PA and take over the Erie Civic Center. Don't make a mistake by the lake. Get your tickets today. Then Rochester, then Syracuse, then Utica, then all the way out to Sacramento, California. I'm hoping that there aren't any video tapings in Utica, because I'm pretty sure the last time we were in Utica, it got pretty miserable.
I also took a little offense to his mistake at the lake, Mark, because that is a term specifically saved for Cleveland. That is not to be used for Erie, Pennsylvania.
Well, it is Todd Pettingzoo.
Yeah, well, what more can you really expect?
He's just a scumbag.
He really is. I mean, that Mania commercial he does later. Well, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Back at ringside, we're gonna have clips from the American Sportscasters Association dinner. Somehow, somebody thought it was a good idea to let wrestlers into the American Sportscasters Association dinner, and at this association dinner, we've got Donk and Dink, the Bushwhackers, and the 42-foot Monster Diesel were all in attendance, along with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Yogi Berra, Tommy Lasorda. And there were quite a few pretty big names there, and then a bunch of fucking gimmick wrestlers.
Donk.
Yeah, Donk and Dink. Like, say what you will about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm not a basketball fan. I definitely appreciate his work in Airplane. I thought he was hilarious in Airplane. But like, I don't know, as a big baseball fan growing up, I kind of have a little bit of reverence for Tommy Lasorda and a lot of reverence for Yogi Berra. And having Donk and Dink there just kind of seems like it seems like Yogi Berra would be throwing down some Art Donovan shit. Like, what are these clowns?
How much does that guy weigh?
What are you supposed to be, tiny? But anyway, this little aside to the American Sportscasters Association dinner is going to take us into our next match. The 1-2-3 Kid defeats Barry Horowitz by pinfall in 2 minutes and 54 seconds. And Barry Horowitz is this week's Jobber of the Week. Take it, Ryan.
Thank you, Jason. Barry Horowitz is this week's jobber. He was born in St. Petersburg, Florida on March 24th, 1959. During his long wrestling career, he used the ring names The Red Knight, Barry Hart, Jack Hart, oddly enough at one point, Bret Hart, and then, of course, his actual given name, Barry Horowitz. He started training in 1977 under Boris Malenko. He made his in-ring debut 18 months later in 1979. His first 8 years of his career, he would bounce around various independent promotions across America, Canada, and Puerto Rico. He would also make a few appearances in the WWF, Jim Crockett Promotions, and the NWA, actually holding the NWA Florida Heavyweight belt for a few months in 1985. In 87, Barry would join the WWF. His character wore suspenders and a vest with an outline of a handprint on his back, which he would pat himself in a self-congratulatory celebration. Joe has mentioned on past Wrasslin Raws about him patting himself on the back, and this is the explanation as to why.
Horrible.
His first stint in the WWF would last just 3 years, and although he was used as a jobber for television, he scored a surprising number of victories in house shows, with victories over Steve Lombardi, Lenny Poffo, and a young Ken Shamrock, just to name a few.
Oh.
Horowitz spent 1990 working as a jobber for WCW, appearing in over 50 matches that year and recording just one victory over Tommy Angel. In 1991, Barry would return to the WWF. Between 91 and 95, he was again used mainly to put over up-and-comers. Although still a jobber, he was starting to gain some respect from the front office, and was looked at as a jobber of jobbers, so to speak. And was one of the company's go-to guys if they wanted to make sure a rising star was going to be in a great match. Enter 1995. This is a spoiler alert for anyone listening because we're going to be entering this time very shortly, but I cannot tell the tale of Barry Horowitz without going over the next section. So if you don't want to hear about it, skip ahead a couple minutes. So in 1995, finally all of Barry's hard work would pay off, and he would receive his first push of his WWF career. Starting on July 9th, 1995 with a pinfall over the Body Donna Skip, he gained his very first victory over a WWF superstar on television. His unexpected win caused the announcer Jim Ross to scream in disbelief about Barry Horowitz's beating him. This set up a match between Skip and Horowitz for the 95 SummerSlam, which again Barry won, scoring his very first pay-per-view victory. These wins made him an underdog favorite with the fans.
I think I'd want my money back.
During this time with the WWF, they started to play up his Jewish heritage, introducing a Star of David on his trunks.
Oh, jeez.
They also started to develop a nerd persona for him, having him wear large glasses and a pocket protector. He would also briefly team up with a freshly face-turned star Hakushi, trying to Americanize the martial art expert in a series of vignettes. But after having matches in both the 95 Survivor Series and the 96 Royal Rumble, Barry would sadly return to his losing ways. Starting in late 96 with a loss to Stone Cold Steve Austin, this kicked off a long losing streak with the exception of a win over Dr. Isaac Yankums. This would then lead into his ultimate departure from the company in 97. His last match in the WWF would be a loss to the Headbangers on April 7th episode of Monday Night Raw. After leaving WWF, Horowitz spent a few years jobbing in WCW before returning to the independent circuit in 2000. As of 2005, Horowitz has been working as a nutritionist in Florida while still occasionally wrestling in local promotions.
What a jobber.
The king.
The king.
The king.
The king
of all jobbers.
That's what we've been saving him. We've been saving him. And here he is right before he won't be a jobber technically anymore. Very soon he will be kind of a star.
My Lord.
I think 1995 SummerSlam was in Pittsburgh. So I definitely would have wanted my money back had I attended that event.
Gosh, well, thank you, Ryan. Enlightening as always. Barry Horowitz, the king of jobbers, everybody. So, back to this match. Barry Horowitz is already in the ring waiting, and he is very energetically patting himself on the back, wearing a sequin jacket with a handprint on it, much like Ryan described just now. Barry Horowitz has a little bit of size on the 1-2-3 Kid, but not enough to take control of the match, just enough to notice it.
Not girth.
Not girth, just size. The match gets started, and in a very unusual move for the 1-2-3 Kid, he lands a suplex on Horowitz and looks great doing it. Vince even comments twice on how good the suplex was and how relatively unexpected it was.
It also really highlights how great of a jobber Barry Horowitz is to make that suplex look believable.
Yeah, really.
His mullet also highlights how great of a jobber he is.
A true professional. Jobbing for the kid.
Jobber of jobbers.
The secretariat of jobbers. So at one point in the match, Barry Horowitz gets the upper hand, and he starts with a belly-to-back suplex, and then uses a variety of chain moves, and they all look great. I cannot take it away from him. This is a great showing from Barry Horowitz, consummate professional, king of jobbers. Barry Horowitz does pause, takes a quick second to pat himself on the back a couple more times. The 1-2-3 Kid rallies with a lot of kicks and manages to get Barry Horowitz in a roll-up for the 3 count. Ryan, what did you think of this match?
We say it pretty often, but this is what you want out of a jobber match. You know, it's not very long. Obviously, there's no one in the crowd that's going to go home wishing they would have got Barry Horowitz's autograph. But, but man, does he put on a show here for the few minutes he's in the ring. Cause like you said, he's twice the size of the 1-2-3 Kid, but he makes these moves that the 1-2-3 Kid's pulling off look effortless. I don't have a ton to say just because of how short it was outside of praise for Barry Horowitz and his fantastic jobber work in the ring. Way to go.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? The king of jobbers.
Yes.
The only other thing I have to note here is I would really like to get my hands on one of those old school black and red Monday Night Raw t-shirts.
Like the guy with the red mullet was wearing a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a nice shirt.
Yeah, the match itself was good. The 1-2-3 Kid seems to be on a little streak here of beating up on jobbers every week, so maybe we got a program building up for him here soon.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with everything you guys have said. Nothing really more to add to it except all hail the king, baby. We're going to move on to the next segment. It's a video montage. The voiceover. Bob Backlund. First, he lost his mind. With scenes of Backlund putting the chicken wing on what looked like Bob Holly, and then what was definitely Duke the Dumpster Droese. Then, he lost his title with a shot of the pinfall where Diesel takes the championship off of him. Now, the maniac of the mats must regain his winning ways if he wants to recapture glory. Doink the Clown, that's their word, not mine, his combination of wrestling skill and ringside pranks will come in handy when he tries to derail the demented Bob Backlund. Who will prevail when mischief meets madness next week on Monday Night Raw? And we're going to go back to ringside where Vince lets us know that still to come, we're going to have King's Court with a mystery guest. But before that, just briefly, Joe, I want to hear yours and then Ryan's thoughts on how awesome a Bob Backlund versus Donk the Clown match is going to be next week.
I am dreading it.
Come on, man.
No.
So my first thought when I saw this video is how far has Bob Backlund dropped in the matter of a week? You know what I mean? He goes from holding the belt to facing Donk at a Monday Night Raw. Man, he had to be pissed.
Yeah, I thought we were done with Donk. I guess not. Can we get a casket match lined up with Undertaker versus Donk?
A dirt nap.
Can we get our buddy Paulie J to book a fantasy match?
Oh, that would be great.
And just bury Donk.
Holy shit. We need to check in with Paulie J on that one. Good call, Joe. I personally liked some of the wordplay here. I mean, it's talking about what is bound to be a shit match, but the when mischief meets madness line I thought was especially pithy.
Well, the promo itself wasn't bad. I'm just saying, what we're getting
That's an
out
action
of it.
zone. That's an action zone match.
Yeah.
We don't need that to be our main event of Raw next week.
Yeah, that's going to be our anchor match. We're going to start it off with Bob Backlund versus Donk, and it's going to be absolute shit.
Nowhere to go but up.
Anchor sinking all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
Our next segment's going to be a quick Acclaim Monday Night Raw video game commercial. And we don't get exactly the same setup as last time, with Vince and Shawn pretending to play against each other like Vince and Cornette did. But they kind of make a little bit of talk over the video of the gameplay. Again, I have to point out that the graphics look great. This has been some solid advertising for this game. They have been doing a banner fucking job.
Yeah, they're really pushing it.
Of advertising this. And not just, showing the gameplay, which speaks for itself, but the way that they've been advertising it has been great. It makes me want to buy the fucking thing.
Not without Barry Horowitz on it.
Wouldn't that be great if he were unlockable?
It is a real shame that he has never showed up on any of the wrestling games.
Enter the Konami code to make him pat his back.
We need to make him in one of the more modern ones where they have a creation system.
Oh, good call. I think I have 2K18.
Yeah, we need to make some Barry Horowitz.
I have either 2K18 or 2K19. I can't remember which.
Forever immortalized in digital format.
Yeah, I wonder who I'll have to delete to make room for him. Probably Donk. This Monday Night Raw video game commercial is going to take us into our next match. The master of the martial arts, Kwang, with Harvey Whippleman, defeats Scott Taylor by pinfall in 2 minutes and 56 seconds. As the master of the martial arts, Kwang, is climbing into the ring, Shawn Michaels states that Harvey Whippleman is rumored to be in the little black book of Hollywood madam Heidi Fleiss. For those of you that don't remember, Heidi Fleiss was herself a prostitute and managed prostitutes for many famous and influential people back in the day. And it was a pretty big deal when she got busted. She named names when she got busted, and her nickname became the Hollywood Madam after that. Shawn Michaels calls Harvey Whippleman a stud, but Vince McMahon corrects him as the Fink is climbing out of the ring, saying that the Fink is the real stud. And that the Fink might be in Heidi Fleiss's black book.
Clearly, this is going to be the last we hear of Harvey Whippleman and Fink tonight, right?
Yeah. Sure.
You mean handsome Harvey.
Yeah, handsome Harvey. Pardon me. We're going to get the match started, and it seems like we're going to ignore the in-ring action and focus on topical things as we get a split-screen view of Harvey Whippleman berating Howard Finkel for some reason. So there's no preamble to this. There's no build up. There's no suggestion as to, some kind of past interaction. It's just ding ding, the match starts. There's a tie up and then split screen with handsome Harvey Whippleman just talking shit loudly and obnoxiously at Howard Finkel for no good reason. And then he tears something up and throws the pieces at Fink. Meanwhile, in the ring, the master of the martial arts signals that he is choking twice before then spraying red spray in the ring. We get another split screen. They broke the split screen just long enough to see the master of the martial arts, Kwang, spraying red phlegm in the ring. And in the split screen, handsome Harvey is still going at the Fink. Back in the ring, the master of the martial arts, Kwang, just isn't doing much of note here at all, and I'm not sure I can really blame the jobber on this one. This is not what you look for in a jobber match. Vince lets us know that we're going to get a memo from WWF President Jack Tunney, the most useless name in television, in regard to the upcoming WWF tag team situation. Look forward to hearing about that. And in the ring, the master of the martial arts, Kwang, delivers a really rough-looking kick to the back of Scott Taylor's head. It was either worked really well, or the master of the martial arts, Kwang, is also the master of cervical spine damage. There's more of the Whippleman Fink stuff at ringside, as the master of the martial arts, Kwang, gets the pin, and as Whippleman walks away, the Fink has a dirty look on his face. Vince comments he's seen that face before, and it's the look of a Texas Ranger. Ryan, get us going on this whole series of events that coincidentally involved the master of the martial arts, Kwang.
So there was a match.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you for maybe not realizing that, but yes, there was a match behind this drama.
All right, I saw some split screen things, but my eyes were fixated on the shiny scalp of the Fink, and I didn't see what was going on in the ring. But what we did get to see, yeah, it's Kwang.
Who?
I'm sorry, the master of the martial arts, Kwang. We know it's not the jobber's problem here. Scott Taylor, Scotty Too Hottie, he's a former jobber of the week because he can do a hell of a job in the ring. But we know from prior experience, Kwang cannot. I'm known to complain about the announcers taking the focus away from a match and focusing it on other shit, either what they're saying or things going on around the outside of the ring. But in this match, it was probably warranted. Why watch it? I just wanted to add one extra tidbit to the Heidi Fleiss Black Book thing here, the Hollywood Madam. I just wanted to see what part in the progression of her story this was. It looks like this must have been right after federal charges were filed against her and she successfully posted $1 million bail. So that would have been what just happened about a week before Vince brought this up.
Okay.
Outside of that, not much to talk about. Obviously, we're setting up something for Finkel and Harvey Whippleman. The match doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already hate this handsome Harvey versus Howard Finkel feud. I noticed a fan grabbed at the master of the martial arts, Kwang, on his way down to the ring. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was pretty funny. Kwang is a jobber now. He's a jobber. Vince and Shawn basically make him out to be a jobber. I think when he sprayed, he's spraying this red mist, it's supposed to be like this scary thing. And I think Shawn or Vince, one of them was like, Kwang's really in the holiday spirit with that red mist.
Yeah.
Just making a joke out of it.
Not even caring anymore.
Yeah, not even caring at all. Just horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, not a whole lot to add to what you guys have said already. Joe, completely agree. I hate where this is going with Whippleman and the Fink. I do like the Fink as, I don't know, concept, I guess. He's kind of like JR before JR, if that makes any sense. You know, whenever you think of ring announcer, WWF, a lot of younger people would probably go with, like, say, Lillian Garcia, but I think the Fink. Because that's who I hear in my head when I think ring announcers. Yeah. He was a mainstay, kind of like what JR ended up being for commentary, you know?
Right. Well, I think they're trying the terrible comedy story of Donk and the Midgets versus Lawler and the Midgets is over. Now they need some other type of comedy program going.
Hopefully it's not as drawn out.
Yeah.
Really. I'm not looking forward to potentially seeing the Fink take bumps for Harvey fucking Whippleman. That's all.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. Next segment, a short video montage. Action Zone commercial. The King of Hearts and the King of Pain are going to meet next week. Patriot meets Traitor. Owen Hart versus Lex Luger this week on the Action Zone. There was some decent wordplay in this one. Nothing to write home about, I thought. I do love Owen Hart. That's no secret, but feel free to add in your own thoughts on this one, guys. But I didn't think this was anything to really scream about.
No, just a typical promo.
All right, next up, King's Court. The King is in the ring and all set up. Of course, the King is getting everybody all riled up. And at one point, he points to a girl in the crowd and says, "Look at this girl. She looks like she fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down." And he says one or two other things to her. And then they show the girl he was talking to, and we can clearly read her lips as she is telling the King that he can go fuck himself.
You know, what I thought was really great about this point was you saw the King. He tried to be the ultimate professional here. He tells them not to show the person, which is the correct thing to do in this situation, right? He's busting on someone on the crowd. You don't show them. But the cameraman just couldn't take it, and he puts the camera right on her.
This isn't the only person we're going to get a great camera shot of during this King's Court. We'll get there here in a second. The King's guest is going to be the guiding light of the WWF. And before I go any farther with this, it should be noted that there have been teases for who the guest is going to be. They haven't said who it was. They've been talking about, the best, most important guest ever and dropping hints left and right. And it's been all but obvious that the guest is going to be the man responsible for Diesel being champion, none other than Shawn Michaels. And Shawn acts all surprised at ringside as he tells McMahon to hold his headset, and he gets up. He's making his way around the announce table there. And As he's making his way around the announce table, a fan just totally reaches over and gropes the shit out of Shawn Michaels' nipple. She like pinches his nipple and like runs her fingers up his ribs as he's standing up, walking around. Yeah, it was pretty perverse.
Purple nurple.
And he gets in the ring. And of course, this is going to be putting over Diesel time. Diesel sure is dumb. Remember when he wanted to take all that money you guys won and invest it in a tall man's shop in Tokyo? Some nice subtle racism there. My favorite of this exchange. Diesel thinks Hamburger Helper comes with another person. That's good. That's good shit. Anyway, Shawn Michaels goes on to lay down a pretty solid promo on Diesel. He reminds us all of Diesel's roots and everything that Shawn Michaels has done for Diesel's career. He's not out here talking trash. He's talking facts. And here's where we get a crowd chant. The crowd is chanting Diesel, Diesel. And we get a camera shot of a guy in the crowd wearing a Burger King crown. And he is righteously, I mean fucking righteously, pulling the air horn and chanting Diesel. He is putting some real feeling into it. He looks like he is trying to channel every ounce of hate he has in his body into pulling this fucking air horn and chanting Diesel. And that's going to be it, really, for this segment of King's Court. It was mercifully short, doing what King's Court ought to do. It was a vehicle for Shawn Michaels to cut a promo. And before we move on to our next segment, Joe, please give us your opinion on this installment of King's Court.
I liked it a lot. I think I am invested in this Shawn Michaels and Diesel feud right now. I think it's pretty good so far. And it's your typical, having a guy turn on another guy and then Shawn Michaels, the heel, saying he made Diesel who he is. That's the typical storyline that seems to work every time. Lawler really laid into another woman in the crowd saying that something about one life to live. And then he said, she's got it's more like one life to eat. And they show this gigantic woman in the crowd. Vince just acting repulsed by Shawn Michaels' behavior is pretty funny. I get a kick out of that. Ryan, you've mentioned the dot matrix printer signs, and they were everywhere.
Yeah, there were all sorts of dot matrix printers.
Yeah. Signs. Diesel is the true champion on a dot matrix printer paper. There's probably like 8 sheets taped together.
I had the true champion noted as well. What the hell is that supposed to mean? He is the champ.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell is the point of this sign? Yeah, he's the champ. Yeah. What do you mean true champ?
And Bartlett, you mentioned the Diesel chants, and I don't know if you guys noticed, there was some really shitty editing here. Like the Diesel chant just came out of nowhere. I mean, this show wasn't live at the time, but it was just like, oh, there's a really loud Diesel chant just happening out of nowhere. It's like they cut out some of this segment, I think. So I thought it was good overall, and like I said, I'm invested into this story. I think it's been off to a good start.
Yeah, I don't want to reiterate what you guys have already said, because it's just a very solid King's Court. Shawn Michaels comes in, he cuts a very good promo, which is expected out of Shawn Michaels at this point. He's one of the huge stars, and we all know that he's a pretty gifted on the mic. So he does a good job here setting up Diesel and getting him over with the fans. The only other thing outside of the dot matrix printer signs that I have noted here was right as Shawn Michaels was announced to be the surprise guest star for King's Court tonight, they cut to this guy in the crowd, and his eyes are wide open, and he's staring at Michaels like a serial killer. I don't know if you guys saw him, but I was legitimate. Like I felt like he was glaring into my soul. It was so disturbing the way this guy was looking.
Let's give that guy a job.
Yeah. But I don't know what he was staring at, but he was pretty fixated on it, and he wanted to kill it.
Was it Softball Sid?
Me.
Nothing much else to say. It was a good King's Court. I enjoyed Shawn Michaels. He did a great job, and it was not very long. Exactly what a King Court should be.
Yeah, and Shawn has been on record saying that he had a drug and alcohol problem at one time. Shawn is definitely on something during this episode.
Yeah, his eyes are a little beady, red.
You know.
Well, yeah, it was kind of like it's kind of like Cornet, but not quite as
yeah. It did not detract from the experience, as far as I'm concerned. So
no, I thought it was
perhaps
great.
Enhanced.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, I don't really have anything to add to that. You guys both, I agree with everything you've said. It was solid. Good King's Court. Next up, and I've been looking forward to this because I put a little bit of extra effort on this one. We get footage from the Snowball Derby this past Saturday. Let's take you to Pensacola. And apparently, despite what I've said in the past, but there's a caveat, there's an asterisk on this one. Apparently, Bob Sparkplug Holly did indeed drive a Titan Sports car. And Vince says that Bob Holly got put into the wall, but a fun time was had by everybody and blah, 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 blah. I had to look this up because I just was having such a hard time accepting any of this. So, from Wikipedia, the Snowball Derby is a 300-lap super late model stock car automobile race held annually at the Five Flags Speedway, a half-mile paved oval track in Pensacola, Florida, United States. The race has been contested every year since 1968 and is typically run on the first weekend in December, although in some years it has been run on the second weekend. So that's the historical background of the Snowball Derby. It is a legit thing. 1994 Snowball Derby, this, what we're talking about here that Bob Sparkplug Holly took part in, Tammy Jo Kirk won it. The first female driver to ever win the Snowball Derby won the 1994 Snowball Derby. First female ever.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And we are told that Bob Holly crashed by Vince. He got put into the wall. But a couple unconfirmed sources, so I've got multiple sources on this, but they are unconfirmed, suggested actually what really happened is that somebody dumped him during practice laps. Dumping is a maneuver where you kind of push your opponent's tail off to the side a little bit in order to slow them down so you can overtake them. Actually, dumping is the inspiration for the police pit maneuver. So if you've ever seen a pit maneuver on like cops where they come up behind somebody that's running, like if there's a car chase and they come up behind them and kind of like go to the side and like tap their rear wheel with their police cruiser and it spins them out and stalls them. That's basically what was done to Bob Holly in the practice rounds of this race.
What a maneuver.
Yeah. So somebody dumped Bob Holly during practice, causing him to crash in what isn't even a real race. And as a result, Bob Holly tried to beat the shit out of the guy.
Vince didn't mention that part.
This is unconfirmed because there's not a whole lot of material out there specifically recounting the 1994 Snowball Derby, but it doesn't sound too far off for what we know of Bob Holly. This guy dumped him, and once they made it back to the pits, Bob Holly jumped out of his fucking car and tried to beat the shit out of him.
Wow.
It sounds like we, in the last couple weeks, have spent more time talking about this than he spent in the race.
Yes, that's exactly it. They keep on building it up, and Vince I have to admit, Vince did a pretty good job of covering up the truth here in this episode, talking about what he did, making it sound like, well, he crashed, but there's always next year. But no, there's a lot more to it than that. So, yeah, I thought that was especially interesting. Tried to beat the shit out of the guy. Anyway, we're going to move it along. The next segment is a really, really weird commercial interlude. It's WWF Mania's 100th episode celebration. This commercial and Mania both star Todd Pettingzoo. It was horrible. I'm not even going to get into details on it.
What have we done to deserve this?
It was a frantic, schizophrenic segment of clips and just It was not good. It's everything that is horrible about Todd Pettengill crammed into like 30 seconds.
Moving on.
Yeah.
I don't even know. We should just stop talking about him completely forever.
Next up, we're going to have a brief teaser promo. There's a view of the sky with clouds rolling over, and the word Hakushi is there in white lettering. Coming to the WWF, and that's about all we get for that. I don't remember Hakushi.
God bless you, Michael said.
I had to look him up because I couldn't remember. And once I saw a picture of him, I remember seeing him, but I don't remember matches or anything.
Well, if you guys
but
remember a few weeks ago, I brought up Hakushi during Tim McNeely. During that Jobber of the Week, that was when how he got the Graduate name was when he cut a promo on Hakushi.
Hakushi.
Hakushi? Not Rikishi. Hakushi? Hakushi.
God bless you.
Anyway, I mean, yeah, they don't really devote a whole lot of time to the upcoming debut of Hakushi, so we're not going to either. This is going to take us into the final match of the night. The tag team of Well Done, that's Timothy Well and Stephen Dunn, defeat the Bushwhackers by pinfall in 5 minutes and 5 seconds. Harvey Whippleman is in the ring again for some reason, bad-mouthing the Fink. Apparently he's the manager for Well Done, I guess. We didn't know this before. Well Done was a jobber tag team anytime we've seen them previously. But in this episode of Raw, they have some new ring gear. And they're looking somewhat professionally done up, even though it looks fucking horrible. The Bushwhackers come out, and the crowd loves them. Big pop for the Bushwhackers. We get a quick promotional consideration paid for by the following. WWF Raw is War Acclaim video game. Vince informs us Jack Tunney, the most worthless name in television, claims he has ordered that the tag team championship has been set aside, and there will be a tag team tournament held to determine the new tag team champs. This tournament will be held exclusively on Superstars. Wah wah. We won't be seeing any of it. And the final match for the championship will take place at the Royal Rumble, which is something to at least somewhat look forward to. In the ring, the action has begun, and Well Done is doing all right here. Between them and Barry Horowitz earlier, it's almost like it's the night of the jobbers here tonight. We've got some time for some quick USA promo copy. This Wednesday, it's going to be Tom Hanks in Big. Excellent movie. The Bushwhackers have been getting the shit beat out of them this whole time until they get a brief rally, and then Harvey Whippleman has to interfere and pull Butch's ankle, causing Well Done to get the pin. This match. Finkel comes up to ringside and yells at the ref, telling him about Harvey Whippleman's part in Well Done's victory. And we're going to cut to commercial as the Fink is getting up in Whippleman's face. Ryan, please get us started with this just all-around lame match and weird-ass situation we've got going on here.
It was a bit of an odd match. It was lame, although a lot of the in-ring action was surprisingly pretty good, especially out of the Bushwhackers. I was kind of shocked to get some of the decent in-ring work out of it. A lot of the bullshit with the Fink and them talking about Jack Tunney, and it's just a very disjoined filling match. It's just very odd. Of course, the Bushwhackers come in and the kids love them, like always. I especially liked, for whatever reason, Luke decided to use buzz clips and make his own male pattern baldness spots on his head. I don't know what that was about. But yeah, just a really odd match. Well Done, as you said. We used to at least know them as a jobber tag team, but by all accounts, I would have to say they're trying to make them non-jobbers here. So new ring attire. They come out with a manager now, Harvey Whippleman, so we don't know if that's just to push them or it's to continue this ridiculous feud with the Fink. But on top of that, they control this entire match and end up with the win. So I don't know if they were trying to maybe push them for this tag team tournament that's going to be going on Superstars, but they seem to be trying to do something with them here, but I have a feeling it's not going to go very far. Yeah, not a whole bunch to talk about. I mean, it was an okay match, wrestling wise, but everything else about it was really weird.
Yeah, Jason, I agree. Big is an excellent movie. 97% on the tomato meter. Only an 82% audience score. I think that's kind of low. I'd give it a 90 at least.
Yeah.
So I don't know what these users are thinking. The match was not good. The Bushwhackers getting the last match on Raw is a pattern, I guess. I don't know. This is probably, the third time we've seen that? At least. The finish was terrible. Just a weak-ass knee to the back, I guess, was good enough to beat Butch. It's supposed to be a hit from behind, but it was just weak and stupid. They just wanted to show this Howard Finkel and Handsome Harvey stuff, I think.
Yeah, it's all that mattered today.
Yeah, one thing on the commentary that I loved was when the Bushwhackers came out and they were licking the crowd. Butch, I don't know if he licked or kissed this woman, and Shawn Michaels said, "That Butch is one gutsy guy for kissing that whale." It's like this huge woman. It's like, wow, that's a little harsh, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say about it. I mean, the match is not good.
Yeah, Joe, I'm going to be agreeing with you on this one. Sorry, Ryan. I didn't see anything really redeemable about any of this. I thought the Bushwhackers were the shits in this. I take that back about the redeemable part. If there was anything that was redeemable, there was a little bit of decent action out of Well Done.
Yeah. I mean, the in-ring action wasn't terrible, is all I'm saying.
A little bit. Yeah, but it was, though, for the most part. I mean, for a 5-minute and 5-second match, I'll give Well Done about 20 seconds of credit. Yeah. So, it is what it is. Joe, I also agree that this whole Bushwhackers closing out the show thing is just, I don't like it.
Yeah, Vince still loves these guys right now.
I can see why. I mean, the kids love them.
Oh yeah, they get a enormous pop from the crowd.
Yeah. Crowd. Yeah. It's understandable why they're here and why they're doing what they're doing, but just it was not enjoyable for me to watch in the least bit.
They should open Raw.
Yeah.
They should.
But
open
as we know, we're not at that point yet where the final match is actually the big match. So
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. They would be a good opener just to kind of warm everybody up and
before the kids go to bed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So after this match, we're going to be back at ringside, and during the commercial break, Bob Backlund has joined Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon at ringside. They're going to ask Bob Backlund about his upcoming jobber match with Donk on next week's Raw. "This is going to be a real axiom. I have never clowned around in my whole life. I walk tall and I'm serious. When I was a small boy, I didn't like clowns, and now I'm a grown-up man and I hate clowns. They don't have a place in our society. They don't have a place in the WWF.
I agree.
And we're going to exterminate you, doink. And I'm going to one day walk tall as the WWF champion, and I'm going to represent all of you people by bringing your morality up to the level of God. And I'm going to destroy the clown to get to that point. Let's have it Monday night." Next week, Donk the Clown versus Bob Backlund right here on Monday Night Raw. And we are going to fade to black. Yes, I completely agree. There is no place in the WWF for Donk the Clown anymore. That's it. That's the end of the episode. Highlights and lowlights. Joe, why don't you get us started on that?
My highlight is I liked Shawn Michaels on commentary, and I'm also, I mentioned it earlier, I'm liking the build-up so far with him and Diesel to WrestleMania. It's one of those things where, like, I remember this feud, but it'll be nice to see the weekly build up to it again. So looking forward to that. Low light, obviously, Handsome Harvey versus Howard Finkel. I'm not sure how to feel about that right now. And I have a feeling it's going to go on a little bit longer than we want it to.
For me, my highlight is going to be the first match. It was just such a standout match. And really, I'd like to highlight Double J, Jeff Jarrett, as the real standout of this match. Just his work as a heel. I mean, Bulldog did a good job, but his work as heel tonight was on point. So that is my highlight. Low light, there's not a ton of lowlights because I feel in general it was a fairly strong Raw, but to reiterate what you said, Joe, the Fink and Whippleman, that's definitely a low light. I also have to mention the ridiculous Todd Petting Zoo video montage for the 100th episode of WWE Mania. That was just Petting Zoo overload. We didn't need it.
I had tried to forget. So Ryan, I'm going to agree with you except for the petting zoo there, just because I didn't want to remember that it existed. The first match of the night is my highlight. Still agreeing with you on Double J. Fantastic work out of Double J. And like you said, the Bulldog was very, very good also. Some really impressive work by the Bulldog, but Double J really stole the show on that one. Great match to start this episode of Raw, and like I said before, one of the best matches we've seen in the past few weeks. And I'm also going to agree with both of you with this Handsome Harvey Whippleman versus the Fink shit. I don't remember where this is going. I mean, it's kind of obvious that they're going to have some kind of something going on here, but it's just so... I hate it when they do this. They do this semi-frequently. They're going to act as though we are all in on a secret, that there's some kind of backstory, like we should just accept it. Like, oh yeah, it's been brewing for a while, and finally Whippleman's going to come out and chew out the Fink. There's been no build up to this at all. There's been nothing. It's just all of a sudden, hey, Whippleman's going to decide to start tearing into the Fink for no goddamn reason.
Lex Luger coming off the helicopter on the...
Exactly.
That's what I think of. Just no explanation. All of a sudden, Lex Luger is an American hero. He's no longer the narcissist.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's actually a really, really, really good way to put this. It's almost like jumping the shark. Jumping the shark has become a phrase, like a television trope. In wrestling, this should be known as Luger off the helicopter. This is truly a Luger off the helicopter moment, this Whippleman Fink bullshit, and I didn't like it. Horrible storytelling. I'm all about the storytelling. This was piss poor storytelling. That's going to be it for me. Like I said, I didn't want to think about Todd Petting Zoo or Mania.
It's understandable.
Petting Zoo overload.
Yeah, exactly. Joseph, do you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around December 5th, 1994 for us?
I do. There's some good stuff in the Observer this week. First off, Randy Savage debuted on WCW Saturday Night on December 3rd.
Oh.
The angle that they're using at that time was that Savage is calling out Hogan, and he's saying he doesn't know whether to slap him or shake his hand. So they got a little story building there between Savage and Hogan there when Savage made his debut. You guys are going to love this. Meltzer describes Brian Armstrong. He's talking about Brian Armstrong making his debut, saying that he's doing a gopher routine, something akin to a white Virgil. It's like, my God.
Jeez.
Yeah. They are reporting that next week's Raw will be live from Liberty, Pennsylvania, which Liberty, Pennsylvania is in the middle of fucking nowhere, but I was more surprised to see that it will be live. So we'll have to pay attention to that to see if that's fake news or not. Meltzer was also surprised that they showed a picture of Diesel standing next to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because it exposed the fact that he's not really 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
I think Abdul-Jabbar was like 7'2" or something like that. word is that Chris Candido will be making his way in soon. He is going to finish up his contract with Smoky Mountain Wrestling and head to the WWF soon. And that is all I have.
Excellent. Thank you. Illuminating as always. I'm looking forward to seeing Chris Candido. He was always one of my favorites. I liked the Bonnie Donnas, and I liked Sonny.
Well, yeah.
Liked them both in ECW as well, and obviously we're not going to get to that.
Just a shame he had to job out to Barry Horowitz.
Yeah, man. Are you sure that was was Candido?
Oh, yes.
Skip? Well, I can never remember which one's Chip and which one's Skip, because the Doctor of Desire, Tom Pritchard, is the other Body Donna.
I think when he lost to Horowitz, I don't know if they were the Body Donnas yet.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, they started with just Skip and Sonny at first for a while, and then they had the Body Donnas later.
They brought in his cousin or some shit like that.
Right.
All right. Excellent. Well, that's it, folks. We're done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us and for sticking around after the hashtag garbage fucks bullshit. And if you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit by searching up the handle Wrasslin Raw. That's WRASSLINRAW. Also, don't forget to click subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw popping up in your podcast feed. Let us know what you think. Hit us with a 5-star review or 4 3/4 if you're Dave Meltzer, wherever you download your podcasts. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to get into the Raw that aired on December 12th, 1994. With matches featuring Razor Ramon and Nick Barbary, among others. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.